Hello there my RPG lovers and welcome to another video. Back in January I released a video with my favorite combat mod list for Skyrim. It was carefully put together with a lot of playtesting and a little bit of tweaking to ensure that all of those mods work together with little to no issues. After almost 9 months since then, I decided to refresh this combat mod list and improve it as much as possible. I was really careful with the mod selection, and my overall goal was to make the melee combat look and feel a lot smoother. The core of the mod list still remained the same, but I added and also removed some mods from the list. So I'm going to start with all the new mods that I installed and explain how they work. Since you're probably wondering about that Spartan kick from the intro, let's start with that. In order for this to work, you actually need to combine two mods. The first mod is called Ultimate Knockdown System. This mod does a lot more than just turning you into Leonidas. It's a full-blown system that's implemented through power attacks, weapons, unarmed attacks, spells, creatures, traps, etc. You probably noticed in the intro that you can knock down enemies by just using power attacks, but this is not exclusive for the player. The player can also be knocked down by NPCs, and there are different conditions when this effect can occur. There are a couple of versions of this mod that you can install. I'm using the race version, and the way it works is actually pretty simple. It gives 25% knockdown chance for power attacks to NPCs and the player. However, colossal monsters like giants, dwarven centurions, dragons and so on have 50% chance to knock down the player with power attacks and 25% with even regular attacks. You have the option to change the knockdown chance, but I think it works great on default. The intro of this video might give you the impression that it happens way too often, but that's just editing and trying to look cool. Blocking with a shield is now more important than ever, because it will greatly reduce the chance to get knocked down. The second version of the mod is perk version, and it basically unlocks the knockdown system only after purchasing a couple of perks. You can also install spell and trap versions on top of all of this if you want to add the same effect for certain spells and traps. I recommend installing the race or perk versions only and see how the mod works before you decide to add the knockdown for spells and traps. And you will absolutely need to install the mod called D13 Faster Get stand up for obvious reasons. I don't know about you, but that mod never leaves my list no matter what combat mods I'm trying out. Now that you understand how the knockdown system works, let's move on to the mod that allows you to kick NPCs. As you probably guessed, it's an animation mod and it's called Oliver Power Bash E by Mofu. This guy is definitely one of the most underrated mod authors out there. All of his animation mods are top quality. This particular animation mod replaces your Power Bash animation. And it's just one of the versions that Mofu has for the Power Bash in particular, hence the letter E in the title. I went with this version because I think it's the most vanilla friendly animation and it works great. But you can see on the screen his other Power Bash animations, so feel free to go with whatever suits you. The mod that changes your one-handed weapon animations is called Oliver Kenjutsu version 4. I really hope I said that right. Speaking about animations, this guy is also responsible for the next 3 mods in the list, so let's talk about that. As you might remember from the last video with this mod list, I already had one animation mod from Mofu, and that was the forward power attack. However, with this mod you will get the full package, and all one-handed attacks look great in my opinion. Regular attacks have never looked better, and all power attacks look and feel great as well. When it comes to those two-handed sword animations, the mod is called Oliver Kenjutsu version 1.1. Unlike the animations for one-handed weapons, this mod only changes the Greatsword animations. I'm always looking for good two-handed sword animations, and I can safely say that this is one of the best out there in my humble opinion. All of these attacks flow really nice, and I'm pretty sure this mod will not leave my mod list anytime soon. And the last animation mod from this mod author is for blocking. It's a subtle animation change for blocking with weapons, and the video speaks for itself. I really can't say enough praise for Mofu and his animations. Now that we got that out of the way, let's move on to the next combat mods. Dynamic Combat Model Remake is a great little mod. It basically gives you a bunch of new attacks that you can use, like for example that running power attack that you could see a lot in this video. It works by combining a custom key with different attack combinations. The default key is Alt, but you can change it to whatever you want. So for example, if you're using a one-handed weapon and you press Alt and left mouse button, you get the forward slashing attack. If you do the same button combination, but this time you add R at the end of the combo, you will get a spinning power attack. It works the same for two-handed weapons, but the animations are obviously different. You might notice that this mod unlocks the special attack move that was previously only available in the kill cam. To prevent you from abusing these new attacks, all of them use mana as resource. Stamina as well, of course, but not because of this particular mod. You can configure the amount of mana that's needed for these attacks, or turn it off completely. A couple of perks will become useless if you use this mod, but I think that's not a big deal. It's totally worth it, because you feel like you have more flexibility in fights right away. If you're playing vanilla Skyrim with no mods that will increase the difficulty and no similar combat mods like in this video, then you should probably avoid installing these mods. Another really small but highly recommended mod is Reduced Attack Skating Movement. The name speaks for itself, it basically reduces the ice skating animation when you attack and move at the same time. It's a subtle change, but it makes the combat less floaty. And those will be all the new mods on this combat mod list. Like I said in the beginning, the core of this mod list is still the same, but we'll mention all of them regardless. The framework for this combat mod list is still Smilodon Combat of Skyrim. It's a light version of Wildcat and you can use that mod instead if you prefer it. Smilodon changes a lot of stuff, but it also adds new features to the combat. The idea is to make the combat faster by dealing and receiving more damage. It also makes the stamina a lot more important than before, which is a great fit for this style of combat. Make sure to read the full mod description on Nexus if you're not familiar with these mods. Ultimate Combat is another really important mod for this combat list. It adds a bunch of new attacks to NPCs, and it also tries to make Skyrim's gameplay more action-oriented. One of my favorite features is the poise system, which changes how stagger works in the game. And just like Smilodon, it changes a lot of combat related stuff, but more importantly they work great together. And just to mention again, all of these mods work together with no issues, if you install everything correctly of course. Moving on, we have Sekiro Combat. The fire spark and the sound effect from blocking come from these mods. But it also has some balancing changes as well. You can deflect attacks with timed block feature and receive no damage. This mod is made to be compatible with Ultimate Combat, and if you like what it does, there is no reason not to install it. Not to mention that it works great with the new blocking animations from Mofu. The next mod on the list is Mortal Enemies. It's a small combat mod, but a large part of the combat wouldn't work without this mod. It basically removes the auto-aim from NPCs, and it makes your positioning in combat actually matter. Without it, the dodge mod would be completely irrelevant and the overall combat experience would be much different. The step dodge that I use is obviously from TK Dodge mod. It's an optional animation for the regular dodge that you can enable in the mod menu. Those will be all the combat related mods in this list. Make sure to check the full mod list in the description if you want to know all the mods that I'm using in this video. There are a couple of really important mods that are not strictly combat related, like loot in encounter zones and complete enemy overhaul. The UI mod is called Customizable UI Replacer, and I have a separate video about it if you're interested. But yeah, for everything else you can check the description. I'll leave all the download links for the mods as well. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, pressing the thumbs up button would mean a lot. Don't forget to subscribe for more content and click on the bell icon so you don't miss any future uploads. Special thanks to my Patreons, and if you as well want to become one of them, all the links are in the description. Patreon is definitely the best place to directly support my work, and every contribution is highly appreciated. That will be all, and I'll see you in the next one.